And now, Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of Move the Sticks. DJ Buck live from Cowboys camp where we've got the Rams in town, Buck.
I mean, this is fun, DJ. Like, we talk about training camp. It goes up a notch when you have joint practices. Joint practices are the rage. Everyone wants to see their team compete in a controlled environment. So you get the energy of a game, but you mitigate some of the risks associated with it.
Do you have any joint practices from your playing days? You stand out?
Yes, I do. I remember very early, Randy Moss's rookie season.
Oh.
Kansas City Chiefs, Minnesota Vikings, River Falls, Wisconsin.
What'd that look like?
It didn't look great for the Kansas City Chiefs because Randy Moss was letting it be known that he was a dominant player. And what we saw from those glimpses of him at practice, it ended up showing that he was going to be a Hall of Fame kind of player.
You remember anything about watching the film of those practices at all?
I remember they put it on us in the preseason game, but I do remember those practices. Chris Carter, Jake Reed, Randy Moss. It was unique to have that kind of size on the perimeter. And then you have someone, Randy Moss's size, who could run the way that he could run, could clear the lanes for Chris Carter. So you talk about two Hall of Fame receivers on the perimeter. That's a lot to see in an offense that was pretty darn good.
No, that's a good story right there. So today, Cowboys focused. We're going to talk to a player, Malik Hooker, who's really seen his career really stabilize. A little bit rocky early on and stabilized. Has been a real solid performer here for the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to have a chance to visit with him in a minute. But first up, Buck, we have a chance to visit with a buddy of ours, Will McClay, who's been running the personnel for the Dallas Cowboys for quite some time. Has really, if you looked at it, drafted as well as anybody in the NFL over the last decade. So looking forward to visiting with him. Here's our conversation with Will McClay. Well, Will, appreciate you taking the time, man. First of all, just how's camp going so far? Big picture.
It's training camp, so we're getting to see a lot of competition, and it's good. It'll be good to see the work that we do against the Rams and kind of judge where we are, but training camp is training camp.
And speaking of this, because it's joint practices, it's kind of been the new rage where everyone wants to see their guys go in practice and then they let the young guys play in preseason. From a philosophical standpoint, how do you kind of go about joint practices, preseason game? What do you put more value on?
I think both are very, very important because you don't want to put your stars out in a uncontrolled environment. So you at least controlling the reps here in the work that you get with the other teams, and then you get to see the young guys compete. And the lights come on in the games. We want to see who competes.
What's your thoughts on second-year guys? Like, how much of a difference is it just having that one training camp experience under your belt as you get out here?
It's a huge jump because now they know what to expect. They know the environment. They know what's going on. And then to see that growth from the first year to second year, they understand the verbiage. They understand the tempo of things going on. And so that jump from the first year to second year is huge.
Will, so many of our listeners are aspiring scouts. So just kind of talk about the difference. We talk about OTAs and mini camps. But now training camp is a different thing. So when you're looking at those early parts of off-season, what are you evaluating from your players, and how does it differ when it goes to training camp?
I think in the off-season part, you're looking at the small details of can they follow directions? Do they do the little things that's going to give them the opportunity when it's time to compete? When you come to training camp, it's time to compete. All those other things, you should know what we're doing. You should know how we do it. And now let's roll it, turn on the lights and let's go. The training camp part is extremely important for the team. Not only individuals, but as a collective group, offensively and defensively, to form your identity.
I know at the end of the season, you always get together and kind of figure things out and look back, somewhat of an autopsy on the year. When you guys began the offseason, going to free agency, the draft, what did you guys prioritize? What do you think needed to change from last year to this year to take that next step?
I think just having the ability to do some things to fill the holes that we might not have had the opportunity to fill the year before, attack that in the offseason, and then get prepared for the draft and try and find the best players available and then increase the competition amongst our team. We wanted to improve the team speed and all that stuff, but we wanted to improve the competition level of the team.
One thing that the Cowboys have always done really well is draft offensive linemen. I can tell you as an old scout, the offensive line was an area that I struggled. So because you guys have been at this for so long, what are the things that you're looking for when you're identifying the really good offensive linemen in a class?
I think the one thing that we've had is there's a history so that you can go by that when you look at the Tyron Smiths, the Zach Martins. And so we look for the identity. First of all, you got to be able to move the person off of the dot. That's the one thing that we look for in the offensive line. And then it's how well do you fit in the group? It's the strength, it's the quickness, and it's the ability to move people in that dog. You got to have that dog. I mean, you really do.
Is there anybody you've been around in the past that made you so confident George Pickens could come in here and excel in this environment, in this system?
I think that everybody deserves an opportunity, and circumstances kind of formulate who you are. And I think you change the environment. We learn things about him, and he's a really, really good football player that's going to bring something to us. And so I think you bring him into the culture, and the culture also helps people grow.
Did you have that moment so far in the offseason where you're like, okay, this is what we signed up for? This got everybody excited, kind of juice up the scout room a little bit.
I think when you see him every day, and then it was something, people talk about, some of the things, antics or whatever, but there was a fight early on in practice, and coach had just talked about it, and I was standing next to George, and he goes, we got to be more mature than that. So there's a little sign that, he enjoys where he is, he's buying into the process, and he's a hell of a football player.
I think what's interesting in talking about the George Pickens conversation, early in the process, CeeDee Lamb was like, I don't see us as like 1 and 2. I see 1A and 1B. Talk about the selflessness that exists between two guys who are kind of worthy of being able to carry the marquee as the lead receiver.
I think that's incredible. I think that's a unique deal, and we'll find out once the lights come on if it stays true. But I do think that one of the things that I've seen is CD is a great player, and this offseason he became greater because his practice habits have changed. I mean, he's practicing like he's a rookie trying to make the team every day, and George is seeing that, and they both, live off of each other, and they're thriving. So I think it's a very good room to have, and the respect that they have for each other, I think it's true. And so I think we'll continue to see that grow.
We've seen a little bit of a throwback in the NFL over the last few years. We've talked about it a bunch of just, the physicality, the size. Teams are playing a lot of too high safety, which necessitates you got to be bigger and firmer up front defensively. It feels almost like size has kind of come in vogue again in the NFL.
Yeah, there's the ebbs and flows of the NFL. It all changes. Everybody was going fast and doing all that. Well, now you got to run the ball a little bit, so you have to prepare for that. And it's the two high safeties, but you got to have guys inside that can handle that load. And I'm loving the fact the flu's coming back. It's kind of some things that we're familiar with, and we talk about the speed and intensity of the defense. I think that helps as well, but you got to have those big bodies inside.
So it's funny you talk about some things never change, though. Pass rushers never change. You guys drafted Micah Parsons, and it's funny that he's sitting there when you guys were picking, but in watching him become a dominant player, what were the traits that you saw at Penn State? Because he wasn't a full-time pass rusher there, but he has become a dominant pass rusher beyond what he ever showed at Penn State.
Yeah, and he probably superseded what we thought from a standpoint of a pass rusher. I think that was something that coming into it, because he played linebacker and he was such an athlete, we thought about him dropping, filling gaps and all that stuff. But we also saw some of the pass rush, and the way that he uses leverage, explosion, and timing, and all that whole wrestling background that he has, that makes a difference, because there's not very, very many people that can rush the passer with 31, 32-inch arms, in a big man's game and be able to win. And he knows how to apply pressure plus the speed. And he's a football savant when it comes to, setting people up and doing things and playing with leverage. It's very unique.
How much does your experience benefit you in a situation like this where you've got a contract thing that's out there, but this is not your first rodeo? You've been around this for a long time. How much does that experience give you a little sense of calm and knowing, hey, these things have a way of working themselves out?
It's the NFL, and it's the way things happen.
Was a young Will freak out in the situation like this?
Young Will would have, yeah, and definitely so. But, I mean, if you build a team, and this is what we're trying to do, that you've got capable people and you got competition, whatever happens, because you can't control it. You could have him, and he might not be there the next day. So we have to continue to build it that way. And, it's the NFL. There's teams, I don't know how many teams got holdouts and all those contracts, agents, all that stuff. I just want to play ball.
I got to ask you this because I've always been fascinated by the brand of the Cowboys. So when you're evaluating players, how much do you have to kind of dig into the character to know that they can handle the added expectation and attention that comes with wearing the star?
That's a great question, because you got to pay attention to it, because we're not some small market team, and we make sure that we have something to talk about all the time for you guys. And so you got to be focused in on the job, and so you look for those guys that, number one, football's got to be the most important thing. And then you look at their personal character and how they do things, and it all comes into the equation. And we want to see how they fit with what we do.
One of the things I love when you get a chance to go out to these practices, not only see the young players, you get a chance to see some young coaches too. Give me a young coach on this staff that you're excited to see and continue to grow and evolve as a coach?
I mean, there's a number of coaches. I think one of the things that Shadi has done a great job of, it's his first opportunity to be a head coach. He didn't just go with people that he knew. He cast that net far and wide. And then when you see them coach young guys, I mean, there's a lot of guys like, Junior Adams coming from, college football and coming
Coach
in.
all those guys at Eastern Washington.
Right. And, and he's working with two NFL guys now, and doing a great job with the whole room. But he's got 2 stars that he's managing, and that's a unique thing. You look at Connor Riley coming over from college. And so you think those guys and getting into the league and understanding what it takes and following along with the program. I'm excited about this because they also have a lot of energy, and the team is building off of that.
Do you ask your scouts to scout college coaches, by the way?
Always.
I think people don't understand that. They think the scouts go into the school, you look at the players. But a lot of times, you might come back to your general manager and say, hey, if we ever have an opportunity, man, this DB coach that I just saw at such and such school was really, really good.
Our scouts do a really good job of that, because one of the things we talk about is just like in our own building, you might go into the building, there might be – we're all doing the same thing for the same goal, and you got 5 different opinions. Mm-hmm. So if you go to a school, what are you going to have? Different opinions. So you got to study the coaches, the players, where they come from, how they do that, and our guys do a great job with that.
I got to ask you this because I played for Brian Schottenheimer's dad, Marty, and Marty was one of the best coaches I've ever been around in terms of keeping the main thing. Have you seen Brian kind of tap into some of those lessons that he might have learned from his dad as he stepped into this leadership position?
There's no question. He has his own identity. He was brought up in the game, and so the foundation and the bones are there. But he has his own. There's his father's influences. That's the deep thread of it. But then you got the Mike McCarthy's, the Pete Carrolls. But he's made it his own. He's very genuine in what he does and how he does it. And it's been impressive to see, especially as your first time as a head coach. There's a lot of things that come up. Your first time head coach with the Cowboys, a lot of things that come up, and he's handled it the right way.
What's your go-to here in training camp? Like, you got to get away. You're in football, immersed in football. You got practice, you got tape, you got your guys in, you're meeting. What do you do to get away a little bit during this time of year? Is that even possible?
It's not even possible, and I don't want to, because this is the job that I have. Honestly, I mean, if you don't love it at this time, it'll show. Well, I love being around it, being around the guys. This is why we're doing this, and we're trying to build something. So I enjoy it, and I'm glad we're out here in California and not at 105 degrees Texas.
That helps.
Yeah, it helps a little bit.
That helps. Hey, last one for me. Well, we appreciate your time, man. This group, if you're going to get where you want to go, what needs to happen?
We need to stay healthy, and we got to play 20-something weeks all together, and we got to handle the ebbs and flows of the season. There's going to be ebbs and flows, and you got to be able to handle that. And I think that's what the thing that is most important to me is handling the ebbs and flows of the season, and having a lot of depth, because you got to have it in the NFL nowadays.
No question. Well, we appreciate your time, and best of luck this year.
Thank you, guys.
Great to hear from Will and Buck. I mean, it's look, it's not an easy job, because every talk show in Dallas, it doesn't matter what day of the year it is, the Cowboys are topic number 1. And when you're picking players and you're trying to help get players in camp, and there might be contract situations, Jerry Jones is going to get a lot of that attention. But Will McClay will catch some strays too now. So he's got a lot on his plate.
He has a lot on his plate, but he's really managed his role really well. And it takes someone who has a low ego to be able to do it, because the brand is big. We talk about the star being big. You talk about local shows, national shows.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about the Cowboys on a daily. But one of the things that has been underrated, often overlooked, they've done a really good job of drafting. This is really a homegrown team where they find their guys in the draft, they develop them, and those stars that they've selected early have turned out to be stars. So give a lot of credit to Will McClay, the staff, in terms of how they put the pieces of the puzzle together to see this team not only relevant, but very, very competitive throughout his tenure.
You hit on the humility there, because, man, it's, a lot of guys try and get themselves out there, put their name out there. They want to claim credit and success for any of the success they might have. Will doesn't play that game at all. He's just a good dude who's a personnel guy. So great to visit with him. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I was in a little traffic on the way up here, Buck, full disclosure. The drive from San Diego got a little sticky, a little sticky on the way up here today. So I did not make it up here for your conversation with Malik Hooker. But I am anxious to hear it, because that feels like it was just a year or two ago. It's been a minute now since him and Jamal Adams were coming out in that same draft class.
Yeah, 9 years in. Look, when he was coming out of Ohio State, the thing that everyone talked about, the ball skills, the athleticism, big-time basketball player. it has translated really, really well when he's been in a system that has allowed him to play to his strength.
Yeah, he's had a really, really nice career. So here's Bucky's conversation with Malik Hooker.
Malik, year 9 in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk about the journey. What has it been like to have lasting power in the NFL?
It's been special. Obviously, there's been a lot of highs, a lot of lows, as any other player that plays in the league. But I guess I wouldn't regret none that I went through. So it's been a special journey. A lot of information, knowledge that I've gained throughout my years of being in the league for 9 years, and a lot of great people I came along the way too. So I wouldn't change nothing about it. So it's been special for me.
When you played that long in the league, the game is probably slow motion for you now.
Mm-hmm.
When you go back and you think about the rookie that came into the league, fresh from Ohio State, what would you tell that player if you could give him advice knowing what you know now?
I'll say just keep confidence. It's the NFL. There's a lot of great players in the league. Guys make great plays week in and week out. So, us being competitive, athletes and things like that, we always want to be on the better side of, obviously a player or a team getting the best of you. So, I just say keep the confidence. That was a thing. I wouldn't say I necessarily lacked, but, especially me being a high-profile guy coming out of college, I always wanted to prove myself right along with everybody that was behind me as far as supporting me. So I said just keep my confidence, always remain true to my faith and my journey.
And speaking of that journey, like one of the things that was always impressive when you were coming out of college is just being a see ball, get ball defender. And we know in our league, there's a premium placed on guys who are ball hawks.
Yeah.
If you're coaching young guys in terms of taking the ball away or being a ball hawk, what are the things that are essential to being able to see it and go get it?
Just always keeping it at the forefront of your mind, honestly. I'm still a guy that's still kind of learning, I guess, even this far in my career, to kind of just always thinking about the ball, especially for my position. I'm always the last line of defense, but that doesn't mean you still can't create a takeaway in an open field tackle just by punching the ball. So I'll say that's the main thing, just always keeping the ball at the forefront of your mind, whether it be tackling or 50-50 balls on interceptions, whatever the case may be. Just always keeping that in your mind that the ball is yours. And even with forced fumbles, like it just takes one tap of the ball, and most of the times, it's not the guys that are intentionally, obviously throwing haymakers trying to punch the ball. It just takes, one little cap off of, the second guy going in on the tackle. So just kind of, trying to install that in my mind to always, play in and play out, just thinking of the ball being on my mind. So I'll say that's one of the things that I can improve on that I'm thinking about doing heavy this year.
So it's funny now because you reunited with your old defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, and I'm going to tell you, people told me back in the day when y'all in Indianapolis, when y'all play against other teams didn't like the way that y'all always attacked the ball.
Oh, yeah.
What is it about Flus, his philosophy, where you guys are always thinking about attacking the ball first and foremost?
I'll say, just takeaways. Obviously in this league, takeaways raises your percentage of you being able to win a game. So anytime we can go out there and create an interception or a forced fumble to get, obviously, a high caliber quarterback like we got Dak Prescott the ball back, that's a good thing on our end, because I'm a firm believer that majority of the time he has the ball, he's capable of putting points on the board, or he does put points on the board. So guys like that in the league that are, playmakers offensively, you give them more chances to have the ball in their hands and being able to do what they do. That just increases our chance of being able to go on out there and getting a win. So that's how I look at it for me.
Okay, so let's go to the offense side of the ball. We get back to defense, but you talked about Dak Prescott and facing him every day and seeing him. What are people on the outside who are not like huge Dak supporters? What are they missing? What makes him special in your words?
He's a team first guy. He's a team first guy, especially, being at the Cowboys. We're talked about a lot, whether it be social media, ESPN, or whatever the case may be. And the first person that always seems to get mentioned is Dak. So for you to have the type of shoulders that he has to be able to go out there and perform how he does, and for you not to notice that, it bothers him or he can't sweat it or whatever the case may be, that takes a lot of, credible and discipline and just being mentally focused. So I say that's the main thing about him. Like he not only is he a great competitor, but how mentally strong he is for what he does for us, and then also the off the field stuff too. Like he's an even greater guy off the field. So I mean, if I could, I'll play with Dak until I can't no more. But, hopefully in the future, that's what the thing is and it's going to be. But that's the thing I love about Dak. Man, he's a competitor. He's a great guy off the field, too.
He does seem like he has those special qualities in terms of the intangibles that you look for at the position. But I'm going to say this, the Cowboys want to make sure they surrounded him with some talent. So there's some playmakers on that side. Talk about C.D. Lamb, Jake Ferguson. Then you have George Pickens coming over. I know those battles. I know it's kind of scripted. Ones don't go against ones often. But how challenging is it to face this new and improved Cowboys offense?
It's definitely difficult because we got so many playmakers on the offensive side. You know, you just named 3 of them off the jump. Dak, not just only Dak, but CD. We got GP. You got Ferg. We got Javonte coming out of the backfield. We got Turp. Like, there's so many weapons that we have on offense that are capable of doing so many different things. Like, you might see Turp sometimes getting handoffs in the backfield. And a lot of people might not agree with it, but the type of player Turp is, like, it just takes a little bit of space for him. He's able to make a small play turn into an explosive play for us. So with those guys on the side of offense, it's hard to game plan against something like that, especially for me being out there and me being a middle of the field guy or guy that's typically in the post most of the time. It's kind of hard to cover because it's like before you can be like, all right, I'm going to see and give somebody else a chance to try to catch the ball on this down. But now with obviously GP on the other side and some of the other guys up and coming too, obviously, we've seen a lot of Jalen Tolbert last year, who's been making a lot of incredible plays this camp. You just never know what you're going to get backside. So that's the special thing about going into this year. Like, there's capable of being ESPN plays and big-time playmakers that have the ball constantly for our offense. So I'm looking forward to see what they do this year.
Okay, so it's not fair in training camp, right? So this is why it's not fair. So we talk about the one defense and the one offense. When the head coach is the coordinator, it seems like the offensive coordinator, it seems like everything is stacked in their favor. How is Brian Schottenheimer kind of putting his mark on this team?
Man, it's been tremendous, honestly. Like, I'm sure a lot of guys on the team can say that. I mean, not saying the camaraderie hasn't been great in the other years that I've been here, but this year, like, not only is the camaraderie good, the focus of all the players and the hungriness that a lot of guys have going into this year, obviously from the results we had last year, is just a major difference. Like, you can tell guys got a chip on their shoulder and aren't pleased with the way we finished last year. So, like I said, he's just been doing a tremendous job of just having us come in and just, obviously cliche as it sounds, just kind of being where our feet are. You know, we take every day as, you know, wherever we're in meetings and we want to compete in meetings or whatever the case may be. We do a lot of competitions throughout the meetings too, just to kind of keep that competitive edge for guys. Because, like I said, competitiveness here and the talent ain't the thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just about us staying focused and, you know, kind of just being locked in, play in and play out. Because if we do that, man, there's a lot of teams that I feel like honestly ain't going to be able to match up with us offensively and defensively.
You know, so here's what's funny. So I played for his dad. I played for Marty Schottenheimer back in Kansas City.
Yes, sir.
Brian was still kind of high school making his way through. So I just got to ask you if he has some of the stuff that his dad. So his dad was long-winded, liked to talk a lot. His dad was also very emotional. We'll look up in the locker room, dad shedding tears pregame. So I just got to know, how emotional is Brian when it comes to his interaction with the team?
Honestly, he's real up tempo. I mean, you guys see kind of how the start of practice starts. You know, we do the bag drills, and it seems like everything's just drill after drill, I guess you'll say. But I mean, honestly, he just brings so much energy and excitement into our meetings that I really haven't seen him get emotional. I mean, obviously, there's a little emotion when, you know, you hear about guys having kids and you know, meeting families and stuff like that. But as far as when he's around the guys, like, it's very, I guess, less likely for him to show like something as far as him being overly excited to where he wants to cry or something like that. Like, it's always like a competitive excitement, if that makes sense.
It does make sense because I will say this. His dad was the most confident coach I've ever heard. His dad would stand in the room and just talk about, hey, we're going to beat this team because of X, Y, Z. And it would happen. Now, another guy who's super confident, I've known him since he was in high school, Michael Parsons.
Yes, sir.
Michael Parsons brings the energy and that stuff, and he's dealing with his own contract situation. But what have you seen from him while he's been around? Not really practicing, but he certainly seems like he's engaged.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from even in the offseason OTAs when he came back and, you know, we all got back together and everything, like, you can just tell just mentally I guess he's kind of reaching a new level as far as who he wants to be, not only as a player, but as a vocal leader on the team. Like, I mean, I don't know if you guys pay attention to him much. I'm sure you guys do with the contract situation going on. But he's just been vocal for those guys. And he's been vocal years before, but also, too, like, a lot of people fail to realize Micah is only, 24, 25 years old. So he's still kind of trying to find his way as well as kind of leading other guys. So it's been special this offseason to see the type of leader he is without his play style. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's able to go out there and give us 10 sacks a season and everything, but the great thing about it is he's able to pass on his knowledge and stuff to the young guys by just being vocal and telling them what he sees. And I've been seeing that a lot throughout this camp. You know, a lot of people highlighting obviously the contract situation and everything, but man, he's been being a heck of a leader this offseason.
Okay, so he's not still in the locker room talking about how he could be a running back, is he?
Oh,
Because
man,
everybody,
listen.
like, please tell me he's not still telling those stories about, back in Harrisburg, I used to play running back and I can do all this. Please tell me y'all got him out of that.
Oh, no, he's still there. He's still there. You see him out there. He's out there lining up, trying to guard CD, acting like he's a corner. So Mike is one of those guys that you'll be surprised, man, like how gifted, how special he is. He's capable of going out there and playing quarterback if he want to. Like, he's that special of a player. And it's like year in and year out, it's just crazy because he finds some way to just remind somebody why he's so talented. Like, the sacks the first 3 years of his career, to having the double-digit sacks and the way he was doing, it was special. But now, like, how he gets out there and he's able to be put in different places to show not only how good of a pass rush he is, but how good he can cover and everything too. So I'm looking forward to seeing that in his career. When I'm finally out of the league and I get to watch some of the guys that I play with, I'm looking forward to see where he ends out in his career because, man, he's a special player.
Okay, last one, man. I got a lot of people that kind of around my universe that are Cowboys fans. And they're like, this is the year. This and that. I tell them, I say, guys, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lean on an expert because you're with the team every day.
Yeah.
Tell me why this is the year the Cowboys finally going to live up to the expectations that their fans have.
Honestly, I mean, I can't predict the future, but just the chip that guys have on the shoulder this year. I mean, it's always been a chip since I've been here. Guys wanting to obviously get to the big dance for the team, you know what I'm saying? But just the way guys are carrying, like, you see a lot of young guys who have 4 or 5 year type player routines. So it's like when you got stuff like that going on and you're seeing like a lot of the guys just buying into the culture and what some of the older guys is teaching and the knowledge that they're passing off, like, it's hard to beat teams like that, especially with, like I said, a roster that we have from top to bottom. We got talent. Like, that hasn't been a thing in Dallas. We've been having great defenses. We had defense we felt like wasn't so good, as well as I'm sure our offense feels the same way. So talent's not the thing. It's just about just locking in. And, those big games, it just comes down to 1 or 2 plays that make a difference. And I feel like, years before, we wasn't as disciplined as we were supposed to be able to capitalize on the plays that we needed to obviously reach the accomplishment that we're trying to get done. So I feel like that's just the main thing. Like, guys are just being intentional with just locking in and day out and play by play. You know what I'm saying? One play goes by, you got to let it out. And, you know what I'm saying? Get back to the huddle and kind of refresh your mind and get ready for the next one. So
I hear it right now because I remember Brian's dad, Marty, would always talk about one play at a time. So it seems like those lessons have been there. But look, we're going to make sure the headline goes down that Malik Hooker guarantees the Cowboys going to the Super Bowl this year. Thanks for joining, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me.
All right, Buck, great to catch up with Malik Hooker. I enjoyed that conversation. I wish I was there for it.
I mean, it would have been nice if you'd been there.
But
nice. That was one of your guys.
I love Malik Hooker, man. But it's nice to see him come around. He's had himself a nice career. Speaking of guys who are coming around, we got a chance to go out here and watch some of this practice. And if you haven't done it before, joint practice, it's system overload because you've got 2 fields. You've got teams working against each other on each field. You have to decide where you want to devote your time, a little of this, a little of that. But that's why these teams have all their personnel departments out here, and they're assigned, okay, you're going to watch the Rams D-line, you're going to watch the Rams O-line, split everybody up on the fields. But just overall team takeaways with what you saw today.
The team takeaways, first let's start with the Rams because they're the visitor. I continue to be impressed with the job that Sean McVay and his staff does, getting a young team ready to play. There's an energy that the Rams show up and play with that never leaves the field. Their young guys are active. They play to the line, meaning they're a little edgy, but not too much. They're organized and detailed and disciplined. And when it comes to the way they operate on both sides of the ball, man, that offense shows up because Sean McVay is a wizard. We saw them have multiple big plays where whether it was the pin or their guys winning their individual matchup, guys wide open. And when it comes down to that, it's either the play design or their people are better than you. But regardless, we saw the LA Rams offense really go to work. And then defensively, they just fly and swarm to the ball. So pretty good day from them on both sides.
Yeah, I'll hit the Rams and follow you up there. On the offensive side of the ball, Devontae Adams had some big plays. Blake Corum popped one. Kyron Williams, you referenced that. He popped one on a little pin and pull there on the outside. And then you also look at what they did protection-wise, I thought for the most part they held up well for Jimmy Garoppolo. He operated smoothly. A lot of motions, a lot of guys, a lot of movement there with what they're doing. Puka Nacua was in motion a lot, moving him around a little bit. It still takes some getting used to seeing him out there in the 12. That looks different to me.
It is different. It is different, but that combination, because you always wonder what it's going to look like when you see those two guys work together. And the Rams have always done a really good job of having interchangeable parts on the perimeter. But, man, two route runners, two terrific pass catchers, guys who are really savvy in terms of how they get open. Sean McVay loves those types, and you see how he's already able to get them free with some of those creative play designs.
Defensive side of the ball, for the first 10 plays or so, it was like I'm watching Jared Verse just wreck shop, man. He was offsides on one. He ended up getting a little early jump. But Barkin, a lot of energy, a lot of passion. Same thing we've seen from him last year, but he was very dominant. Poona Ford is fitting really well with them. He made some plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage against the run. He looked good as a nice addition there. Tell you what, the other one who flashed like crazy is Cam Kitchens is flying all over the field. 4 or 5 of those where I think, Buck, if you do it to the wrong person, you're probably going to have a fight.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit beyond the tag off and the thud. It was a little thud plus, I would say, for Cam Kitchens out there.
Look, man, they definitely have this competitive spirit about them. And it's not over the line, but it's right at the line. And they do a really good job of bringing that energy and stuff to the field. And I say, look, the Cowboys certainly match the energy, but you can just tell when you look at the Rams, the way they operate like a perennial playoff contender. They just kind of carry themselves like we know how to go about the business of winning.
I would say tempo-wise, just overall tempo, Rams advantage from what we saw out there today.
100%. But I will say this in looking at the Cowboys, because you had a chance to see the big plays from their offense. There are some playmakers that are available. And you saw some of the big plays flying over the top of the defense. Joe Milton had a terrific
huge
deep ball.
That I'm
sure
Jalen Brooks.
Yeah, it's going to be a social media sensation, but big throw down the field, what everyone wants to see. The Cowboys certainly can go big play hunting. This is a different approach than the way the Rams operate.
Well, the other thing is CeeDee Lamb is going to catch 500 balls because they threw him so many quick hitters that are really not coverable. It's just going to get the ball in his hands, see if he can make somebody miss, make something happen after the catch.
Well, I mean, that's who he is. If you go back to his days at Oklahoma, you would see him make excellent plays on catch and run opportunities. They're trying to make sure that he has enough touches to impact the game. In a perfect world, you would like to see a higher yards per attempt go over his way, but look, I think they'll eventually get there, but it's clear that they're making a concerted effort to make sure he's always featured in the offense.
And we heard Will McClay talk about George Pickens and how been on his best behavior here. They're very happy with him. Man, you forget just going out there, just watching what he looks like. I mean, he looks the part. He can really move. He's fluid and smooth. And we didn't get a chance to see him kind of go up and win those 50-50 balls, but that's coming. That element is going to complement CeeDee Lamb. We said it when they brought him over there, which was, man, if you're going to find a compliment to CeeDee Lamb, it is George Pickens' way of playing. That is the compliment.
It is. And when you go back to the days when the Cowboys are great, they've always had a guy that did all this damage on the intermediate part of the field.
And Alvin Harper.
Michael Irvin, Alvin Harper. So now George Pickens can take the top off the defense while also giving you that red zone firepower. And then CeeDee Lamb just being a natural number one. I like the way they complement each other. And when you throw Jake Ferguson in as someone that can
he got one today.
The underneath areas of the field, it's a very complete offense. And if you ask me, it's an offense that's going to carry the team. And then defensively, they're playing for turnovers.
Yeah, no question. When you look at the Cowboys defense, Buck, I think of the three we've mentioned so far, Rams offense, defense, man, plenty to be excited about if you're a Rams fan. Cowboys offense, we saw some flashes of some really good things. A deep ball from Milton we mentioned. Dak was under some pressure, but I thought when he had time, he threw the ball well. They got the tight end involved. They got CeeDee Lamb a bunch of balls. The one unit to me that if I was just from what we saw today, and it's one practice, it's a glimpse. Secondary of the Cowboys, I'm a little bit nervous there, Buck.
Yeah, a little nervous, but we've seen these things, and some teams are slow cooked. You got to slow cook them in a crock pot, and eventually be well. When we think about Matt Eberflus, zone coverage, vision base, it takes a little while for it to come up to speed. But when this clicks, if it clicks, they can play really good. And remember, if they're playing with a high-powered offense, teams are going to be throwing into the teeth of the defense. But the only way it works is you got to have pass rush. That's where Michael Parsons
getting ready to say the same thing.
Has to be able to come in and be a factor.
Because you've got Trevon Diggs over there, and Parsons kind of hanging out together. Parsons had his Cowboy jersey on, Penn State pants, but Cowboy jersey, so I had some team issued stuff on there. But when you're watching them play defense, you realize, man, Jared Verse, like, just kind of jumps off the field. Is this is someone you have to account for? Man, you take Micah Parsons off that defense, it changes that defense, man.
Yeah, and look, man, I think he's worth his weight in gold when it comes to what he brings. And Will McClay described his pass rushing ability, the explosiveness, just the suddenness that he plays with. They don't have anybody who has that juice on the front line. And without him, man, they're rendered helpless on defense because they just can't get enough pressure.
You remember Emmett, how many games? Do you remember he missed
2
games? Is that what it was?
2 games he missed.
That was literally like It's a Wonderful Life. If you haven't seen that movie, you get a glimpse to see what life looks like without Emmett Smith, and the Cowboys quickly decided we probably need that dude. I hope this doesn't go into that territory. I hope it doesn't go that long, because this is not something I think Cowboys fans or the organization wants to see, what this defense looks like without him.
No, I mean, we just look at it. There aren't any notable names. It's him. Maybe Dante Fowler can give them something.
They love Izaraku. So
Yes.
I didn't see much of him today, but they said he has had a great camp out of Boston College. He's got an edge to him. He's done a really
Speed,
nice job.
quickness, burst.
But again, that put him, as a piece here with Micah Parsons now, and you can pair him up on the same side. You can put them opposite each other, but that's going to make him even better.
Yeah, he needs to be the complement. He can't be the primary. If he's a complement, he can make a bunch of plays on the backside because all of the attention is on number 11.
Any other big ticket takeaways? I did not take any special teams notes today.
No, but they punted well. Like I saw the ball.
It's really
fly
nice.
far.
Really turned it over.
Nice.
Yeah,
It turned it over. It looked
Yeah.
like how I want my drive to be off of the 17th. Like hit it straight
man.
down the middle. But
One thing this training camp tour does every year too reminds me of, like, you forget, like, you got to be in standing up shape. Really weird to say.
you gotta have the right shoes.
Yeah,
right equipment.
Shoes are important, and just the sock is sliding down. It's not comfortable.
Oh, you didn't make
it's a
good
lot of-
choices.
Yeah.
You didn't make good choices. You got to make good choices, DJ, when we're scouting.
Yeah.
Shoes, fit,
I know.
everything. You got to have that. You got to have your water.
Yeah.
You probably need a little sweat towel to make sure you don't get tired. I messed up by not having a hat. You had the hat. It's been a minute.
I thought podcast is hat casual. The network, they yell at you, but I thought, I think we're okay.
Yeah, we got to
with
get
a
back in scouting shape. So we're on our
Yeah.
way. This was a nice little tasty cake.
Yeah. So anyways, and I like being able to walk around. We're restricted here today.
Yeah.
When you're scouting, you kind of walk around the whole field.
Yeah, we didn't have the lay of the land.
You can't put scouts in a box.
No.
I can't do that. All right, this has been fun. It's been great to get out here. Thanks again to the Cowboys for being so kind and providing our guests. Appreciate Will McClay taking some time for us, Malik Hooker, and everybody we had a chance to visit with today. Thanks to the wonderful Move the Sticks crew that got this thing all set up. I know this is not an easy to take this show.
Not easy. And thank you for making a long drive. Like maybe you get back to San Diego by, I don't know.
I'm hoping by the time I get home, the Padres are in first place. We'll see.
Oh.
It's not that long of a drive. All right, I appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time right here on Move the Sticks.